Hey guys, gonna try to finish this, because I think it gets better. I hope. Okay, chapter 7. We read that. Yep, we read that. Okay. And we have 54 pages to go. Almost done, in a way. Yep, almost done. This is gonna be fun. Chapter 8, The Cemetery. Well, that's good. We finally get to see what's in the cemetery. How many pages is this? Oh, like 13. Okay. We walked together, our pointer fingers romantically linked. The cemetery loomed ahead of us, covered in a dark haze of night, lit only by a sliver of moon. Twilight. I mean Nightlight. Yeah. They dropped the title. That's pretty good. I could feel the excitement bubbling up inside of me. Yes, my romantic conquest was finally coming to fruition. Proved Edward that I was eligible to become a vampire, but would bring him to a place that sort of tangentially has to do with vampires. It was a flawless plan. Boy, would Mom and Dad be surprised, and the people in Phoenix. By the end of the night, not only would I be a vampire, but I would finally have my upper ear pierced. Before Edward bit me, I was going to ask him to squeeze my hand tightly and stick a fang in the cartilage of my left ear. Huh? Okay. I hoped he had brought a hypoallergenic stud earring with him. I wondered what people at school would think when they saw the new me. They would think, ah, vampire, stake her. Yeah, she's terrible. But as we neared the gate, Edward began to grow uneasy. My first clue that something was terribly wrong. Our pace had slowed to a crawl, and as I looked at him, I began to realize that even his walk had become abnormal. He was lurching awkwardly and holding his stomach with an odd expression on his face, the expression of a bat lurching through a cemetery on its haunches. To be honest, that's what most of Edward's expressions reminded me of. What's wrong, Edward? I asked. Do we have to go for the cemetery? It's my meds. I've been off of them for 2 days now, and anything that causes fear makes me nauseated. Actually, anything that causes emotion makes me nauseated. Ha. Why would fear be a problem, I wondered? We were going to a cemetery, the Chuck E. Cheese's of vampires, but I knew I had to play the caring girlfriend. Let's find a place where he can lie down, I said, maternally but also seductively. I took his hand and pulled him for the gate, but he grabbed one of the gate's bars and clung stubbornly, pried his fingers off one by one as he whimpered. Finally, using all my weight, I was able to push him through the gate. We had entered the cemetery, as the esteemed vampires call it, the cemetery. I later found out, in fact, that they call it a cemetery. Yep, she is totally deluded. As Edward talked about something, whoever knew what he was talking about, whoever listened, he was adorable, though. Good character. I swung our clasped hands a little, placing my other hand over his mouth affectionately. Oh, they used the wrong word. They meant imagined, but they put imaged. I imaged what I would be like after the transformation took place. I could probably wear leggings as pants every day, and no one would say anything because they would be afraid I'd bite them. Don't worry, that's just my parents. Okay, blah blah blah. What would my special name be? Probably Alice, because that is a vampire-sounding name. What would my special power be? Probably the power to drink blood without a chaser. So very good. So very good. The mood was perfect. Filled in dim light, the cemetery seemed to cry out, suck your girlfriend's blood. She's ready. She's targeted. You don't need to exert any energy. All you need to do is open your mouth and she can run into your tooth if you're tired. As soon as I realized that I was screaming that in Edward's ear, I stopped and politely apologized, stepping away to give him personal space. I so love this story. It's so good. What must be done? After one last nervous glance at my gravestones, he pulled me close. Don't leave my side, he quavered, hanging onto my arm and burying his head below my shoulder. It felt natural. I surveyed my surroundings and mentally formulated a description of them. Grave after grave poked up from grass, like a formation of grave soldiers lined up in a grave phalanx of grave-like proportions. A grave site indeed. I think there's also some trees and stuff. So acting like the whiting paths, I had a thought. It's a little thought spoken by a little internal voice, like the one that asks if you're afraid of it, you say no, and it says, if you ever try to get rid of me, you will live to regret it. My thought was this: what if I become an incredibly bloodthirsty vampire? What if that was the sole reason Edward hadn't bitten me, thereby destroying my soul? What if when his mom had offered me peach cobbler, I shouldn't have eaten piece after piece until there was none left when his family watched with hungry eyes? Maybe I shouldn't have eaten all the hot dogs either, but I wasn't about to ruthlessly let all that human food go to waste. I still don't know why, after making a plate of food for me, A was served with members of her vampire family as well. That was awfully presumptive, because they're not vampires. In this, the parody is that they aren't vampires. I'm guessing they're not vampires, because it's dumb. Oh look, because it's gonna be kind of dumb to use the exact same idea, because you're trying to subvert the idea that the entire family are vampires, so they're normal. This Belle is such a jerk. I pretty much hate her. Yes, I pretty much don't like her. I hope Belle is better. But Belle herself, the parody version, it's bad. I don't like her. Blah blah blah. What if I didn't feel like walking around the table piling their food onto my plate? Oh, that's awfully presumptive. Like they don't need food. Edward, I said it was time to be direct. If I were a vampire, I would have no trouble resisting people's blood, even Lucy's. I know I tell you that if I ever became a vampire, the first thing I would do is invite Lucy to an action movie in a dark, deserted theater, but I was joking. In all seriousness, the first thing I would do is buy a beautiful rhododendron and win a Nobel Prize for engineering a mortal flora that could survive even in deserts. Biting flowers. Oh, wait. Biting flowers? Biting a flower? What? I'm trying to. Ugh. Billy said, taking both my hands, if you don't sit down, I will barf something up. I'm not sure what because I did not eat anything other than orange soda today, but it could be anything from my kidney to my other kidney. Okay. After 20 more minutes of moonlit stroll, I settled down on the most comfortable looking grave I could find, which happened to be covered in plush leather. James C. Lever King Murphy, 1906 to 1975. King of leather and also owner of a leather store, it said. Settled down and began to enjoy the romance of each other, almost like a warm glow inside of us. This is the way married grown-ups feel all the time. Oh, I don't think so. Edward, I said, so grateful to be here with you. Are you feeling better? Yes, Belle, much better. Man, I like these, 2-word sentences. Oh, they're so good. They're so good. I smiled at myself and my future vampire self. I was happy remembering how embarrassed I was for this girl at 8th grade graduation because her dad was much older than all the other dads. Edward and I would never get old. I began to reapply my grapefruit perfume so my blood wouldn't have an unshowered for weeks taste when he bit me. Wait, what? So my blood wouldn't have an unshowered for weeks taste? Oh. She just covers herself in perfume to magic away the shower. That's cute. What's that smell? Is it grapefruit? Edward asked. I was surprised that he hadn't lost his memory about human food the way most vampires do, but at the same time I wasn't surprised. It really smelled a lot like grapefruit. Don't you just love being among all these dead people? I asked, gesturing at the surroundings. Well, to be honest, I actually think that part is a little weird. I would like nothing better than to leave this cemetery, make sure you get home safely, and then curl up in my bed with a tall glass of diluted ginger ale. How sweet of him to say something that didn't make sense for a vampire to say. Casual thrust my neck towards him, bathing it in the moonlight. Is your neck okay? He asked. I don't know, is it? What do you think, Edward? I massaged his stiff and I slept on a pile of coals. Does it hurt? He asked. I had to think fast. Did he want it to? Did he want for it to hurt? Was that some kind of weird vampire thing where they prefer to bite necks that hurt? The way that my mother had always told me that the way you know a piece of fruit is ripe is that it looks like it hurts. This dialogue and stuff makes no sense. I have to sit here for a moment and just think of just how stupid it sounds. Yes, I stammered, silently thinking the force that be for the improv class I took last summer. It hurts. It hurts terribly. Then something magical happened. Edward poked my neck. Fire rose through my entire body. Grabbed his finger, intoxicated by its caress, and gasped for air like a fish out of water gasps for less air. Grabbed my neck a few times. I wondered if he was putting alcohol in it the way doctors do before giving you shots. How does that feel, he asked. Like happy. The truth was, it felt completely indescribable. A patch of blackberries. That's how I would describe it. Completely indescribable, and then you describe it. I wonder where they got that kind of thing from. And it's completely nonsensical. Did they get it from the Twilight novels? I think maybe. It's gonna be great when I read Twilight, actually. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna love this. Gonna love that apple. Gonna love it so much. Okay, great, he said, stopped. That was quick. You know what? I said improvising and it hurts again. Worse, much, much worse. Say, I have an idea. You could bite me and then I would never feel pain again. Gave me a look like I was crazy. Crazy in love, just the ground began to shake violently. Feels a crazy right now. Okay, babe. Okay, Beyonce. No, no. This is. I don't know if that was a joke of that sort. What's happening? Is this part of the transformation process? I acted a little unnerved. An earthquake, Edward suggested with the coldly calculating reasoning of a vampire. Suddenly, the ground split open beneath us, cracking the tombstone in half, and from the grave emerged a figure with blood-stained fangs and a black cape whose tall, curved collar was neatly pressed down in obvious defiance of the current trends. An actual vampire. An actual, not Edward, vampire. And it came out of nowhere. Does this happen in that book, in Twilight? Does this happen in Twilight? I don't know. I've never actually read the books. I've only watched the movies. And in the movies, they didn't come out of exact nowhere, for the most part. I mean, nothing really did. I mean, didn't help that the movies were told by Bella's side of view, so they half the stuff like made no sense because it didn't even relate to her. So yeah, gonna love this. Oh, this is gonna be good. Are you the Lever King? I managed to ask. No, said the figure. You seriously don't recognize me. I looked at him closely. The pale face, the cape, the red eyes, the ridiculously large fangs. I couldn't place him. Do I know you from work? I strained to remember if he was one of my coworkers. I didn't remember if I had a job. You strained to remember if you had a job. Um, Going by the stuff in this book, I hope you don't have a job. Actually, no, that causes some plot holes because, in a way, pretty much saying that somehow she was paying for her mom and dad's like well-being without money or a job. So I'm guessing in her mind, guessing in Belle's mind, she's like perfect, even though when you actually read about her stuff, makes no sense. Um, I'm guessing that the mom isn't as dumb as the book makes her out to be. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Um, Goodness gravy, Belle. I sit next to you every day in English. Oh, that English class. Okay. I'm sorry. Every face at school kind of blends into one conglomerate dull face, except for the face of Edward Mullen, the love of my life. Yeah, this is this is insane. He clapped his hand slowly, sinisterly. Well, congratulations to you too. Like he said, I hope you have a really happy life forever and ever in your sweet little house behind a neatly mowed lawn. What you two have is special. You know that? Really special. We're all very jealous of your overwhelming love for one another. I'm liking this fan parody. He's completely like a bad guy, I guess, that came out of nowhere. But he's like, this is dumb. Twilight is dumb. It's kind of nice. Thank you. Belle just said thank you. That's nice. To get on with my point, I'm Joshua, a vampire. I don't mean to be rude, but you two are trespassing on my grave property right now. I'm truly sorry about all this, Belle. Honestly, I think you're very attractive, even though you don't wear makeup or pay attention to the fashions. To the fashions. To make a confession, I had every intention of asking you to prom the first week of school, but now I'm going to have to take your life, unfortunately, to nourish myself. I balked. Another vampire? I guess it made sense. The states of the Pacific Northwest were known for their lenient monster laws. I, I don't think that's a thing. Don't think that's all a thing. Um, Next to me, Edward screamed and covered his eyes, likely visualizing his triumph over this blindly costumed vampire. I relaxed, comfortably settling into the gravestone, ready to watch what every girl hopes to experience once, a real-life vampire fight. Not so fast, Josh, I said from my seat. Cut him up into little bits and burn them, Edward. What? Why would I do that? Why would I ever do that? He pondered and then gave me a sharp look. No, I am not pondering that, Belle. I am hysterically yelling right now. I am experiencing the greatest fear I've ever felt in my life. That's probably actually not what he said. But, in her mind, that's exactly what he said while he's doing the actual description of what he's doing in actuality, because she's completely out of it. Henry was visibly shaking. I think that happens when vegetarian vampires haven't eaten a bear in a while or something. Edward, we don't have time to a DTR talk right now. There's another vampire now, and I don't think he's familiar with Peter Singer's The Ethics of What We Eat. Another vampire, he looked behind his shoulder. Where's the first? He quavered, most likely from hunger. He gave me another sharp look. No, stop that. I'm not quavering from hunger. That doesn't even make sense. It's nice to see that even the, characters now are like, no, we're not dealing with this. We're not dealing with this. Almost making the last 7 chapters almost worth it. Except there's no payoff. It's almost. Come on, Edward, I cajoled. He's a vampire. You're a vampire. Get to work. Stop, Bill. This is serious. This is not a good time to roleplay. Roleplay? Yeah, roleplay. Like the time we roleplayed that I could lift Tom Newt's car. Or when we roleplayed that I could reach speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Or the one where I had vampire teeth and tell you how much I wanted to drain out all your blood when I first laid eyes on you. He froze. Whoa, some of this stuff is starting to come together. Yet again, Edward is the voice of reason. Somehow, making Edward a pretty much normal human is kind of funny. It's actually really funny. I turned to Joshua, signaling that we needed some time to work this out. You know what, Joshua said. Even though I'm a real vampire, which means by nature I'm aloof and hot-tempered, I will give you guys some time. Don't mind me. I'll stand right here silently seething and flashing my eyes. So all this time you thought I was a vampire? Edward whispered furiously, pulling me a few inches to the left. Sure, I said. You know the lion falls for the lamb? What? Sorry, it's easy for me if I explain things in animal terms. So you thought I was a lamb? No, a lion. Or you're the shark and I'm the seal. Stare at me blankly. Okay, I tried again. You're the giraffe and I'm the leaf. Are you breaking up with me? He asked quietly. Of course not, I said tenderly. Oh my god. Of course not, I said tenderly. Only if you're not a vampire. But I'm not a vampire. But you are kind of a control freak in a vampire way. You made me boss you around. And while we're being honest, you're my first girlfriend, and before I met you, I was doubtful I had the requisite mouth muscles to speak aloud. Felt my entire monster hierarchy with Edward vampires at the top, realigning dramatically. But what about the time we were talking about different kinds of blood, and you kept talking about how each one has its unique merits, just like different types of wine, you said. And then he went on like a 15-minute rant about homogenization, blood homogenization, and then he went into the oh my god, the words now are getting annoying. In that elaborate mnemonic about the various steps to take while drinking blood. The 5 S's. Suck, sip, swirl, swirl again, and then simmer. Yeah, simmer. Wasn't there another one? I think so. I had it written down on some little cards at home. So then how are you not a vampire? I asked, purposefully not inflicting my voice at the end of my question for a lawyer effect. Belle, I'm sorry, I'm not a vampire. I'm only a moderate blood drinker. I like my hamburgers medium rare. This is actually enjoyable. I don't know, it's like a 5-page section where it's actually enjoyable. I I don't know what's happened to the book. The rest of it was boring. This is actually enjoyable. Yeah. Okay, where y'all set? Asked Josh, tossing another shriveled mole onto a pile. How civilized, I thought, to have a designated place for advertiser refuse, just like a good host providing a bowl to put shrimp tails in. I guess so, I said. Get him, Edward. No, Bill, I can't fight a monster. I will never live up to your normal and perverse fantasies. That hurt. Plenty of teenage girls wish their boyfriends were vampires. Durkheim would use the society for this. We pretty much agreed the problem came from some other place external to my brain. Getting the hell out of here, Edward said, beginning to back away. If you love me, let's go. But Edward, I called after him, we have to defeat this vampire. Are you just going to leave me alone here with him? Isn't that what you want? Well, that proved it. A real vampire would have been sucking my blood as he said this. I watched as Edward disappeared in the fog, this time not in a magical way, but in a loud falling way, signifying that he had tripped over a gravestone. Josh and I watched as he reappeared, hurtling over the gravestones as he jogged. Each time he fell, he screamed, looked back over his shoulder at us, and clambered up to his pigeon-toed feet. Yeah, this is actually turned into a good parody. Only took like 8 whole chapters. Oh, 7 and like a half. Because I don't know, it's finally gotten into newish territory of not being terrible. Josh and I sat there, an awkward silence quickly settling in. Checking out my little Edward keepsake knapsack. I hated to do this in front of a stranger, but I needed some release. Determinedly, I began to burn the items one by one. My biology lab report, my stuffed Dracula, some firewood I chopped during our hiking trip, the chunk of hair I pulled from that waitress's Buca de Beppo. I felt better after that. I said cheerfully. Should we tell ghost stories? I'm not sure you're aware of the peril of your situation, Belle. You see, I'm a hungry, amaryl vampire, and you are a vulnerable, blood-filled mortal girl. Nonetheless, I would like to share with you one ghost story. I call this story The Tale of the Long Ago Locket, Josh said in a shaky ghost voice. I definitely heard that story before. I hummed to keep myself from falling asleep. What's the matter? Asked Josh. Aren't you interested? It's a really scary story. I know it is. I saw it on an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Okay. Josh glowered at me. Most sad, he said. It's too bad you know so much about ghost stories. Tell me, do you know what a mortal girl's best means of survival is when a vampire advances? He asked, advancing. I yawned. Yeah, I think I saw that episode too. He leaned it close. Run. The answer is run, he said, crouching down into pre-pounce position. Suddenly I panicked, rolling out of post-pounce position. This was wrong, all wrong. I was supposed to be bitten by Edward and become a vampire myself. I wasn't supposed to be bitten by some strange vampire and die. Everyone knows this. There's a fine finicky line between eternal life as a vampire versus death as a human. Hope you like dying, Joe spoke calmly and confidently, like the way you might speak to your mashed potatoes. As he took another step toward me, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Edward, bruised and battered after finally surpassing all those gravestones, fleeing out of the gate as Joshua leaned in to fight. And I'm just gonna have to do a good show for that chapter. That was actually good. Oh, that's like an 8-page chapter. Is coming up next. That's nice. This is at least getting more enjoyable. It's only taken the entirety of that. There's almost nothing left. Okay. 9. Invitation. Okay, this sounds good. Paralyzed with fear, I struggled to remember the rules of fighting I learned from cardio kicks. 1. You go, girl. 2. Work it. 3. Come on, ladies. 10 more reps. That sounds like a workout video. None of those rules would work. Josh's teeth were 4 inches from my throat, and it was only a matter of time before he halved it, and then his teeth would only be 2 inches away, then 1 inch, then 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16. Suddenly I remembered Zeno's paradox. Bringing Zeno's paradox in there. As long as Josh kept moving towards my throat in half intervals, he could never reach it. Well, in theory, that's true. But in this reality, where he's gonna actually reach it and kill you, no. Zeno's paradox does not work. However, he did not move towards me in half intervals. He moves towards me in a single lunge. Abandoning logic, I settle for my Krav Maga What? Krav Maga training. Okay. Picking up the bench to my left and throwing it at him. It crumbled upon impact. Of course, all the traditional glass benches in Oregon had recently been replaced with safety glass benches. Okay, that wasn't expecting that, and that she knows Krav Maga. Yeah, did not. She seems too boring to know Krav Maga. Thinking fast, I squatted and jumped high to intimidate Josh with my combat training. But Josh didn't retreat. Instead, he assumed a Warrior 1 pose. That was my idea, my only idea. Well, I thought I could always use those nunchucks I carry with me. Oh god, every new sentence now is funny, but it makes no sense because none of this ever came up. This hardly makes more sense than the freaking parody. I pulled them from my socks and began to swing them above my head. I wondered if they could twirl so much that I would be lifted from the earth. Before I could contemplate where I'd fly, Josh struck me first hard in the stomach. Okay. Shows how useful she is. I flew backwards into a gravestone. Thank God I'm not in a ballet studio full of mirrors, I thought with relief. Then I heard the sweetest sound I could imagine, a deep guttural meow. That's when I knew I was dead. That sound, the only one I wanted to hear, was calling me to the only heaven I wanted to go to. Cat heaven. I opened my eyes to see a black cat rubbing gently against my legs. Never mind. I was alive. No wonder I thought it was an angel. The way it purred reminded me of the way Edward mumbled. That's when I decided to really fight. I jumped up to kick Josh in the butt. I got kind of embarrassed mid-kick though, so it ended up being more of a timid toe tap. His butt cheeks jiggled unscathed, sending me backward in the empty grave he had come out of. The descriptions of this is just so awkward and bad that it has to be on purpose. It's just awkward to read. I was staring at the night sky dazed when Josh's head blocked my view of the moon. He stiffly moved forwards as if to attack, but then stopped. Hadn't my toe tap set him the wrong signal? He stood straight at the edge of the grave, looking down at me. The first time I noticed how tall he was. Actually, from where I was sitting, he seemed really, really tall. I like tall guys. The two things I look for a guy is how tall he is and whether or not he's a vampire. Pretty much all my crushes have been one or the other. One guy, actually, was both big and a vampire, but he turned out to be gay. Okay. It worked as a joke. It's just kind of a dumb one. Die, he growled. Help, I screamed. Shh, everyone at the burial next to us whispered. Sorry, we said together. He pulled me out of this grave and we continued struggling in silence. We fought for a while, occasionally forgetting which of us was the human and which was the vampire. At one point he was wearing my dress and I was wearing his cape. I was about to bite, but then for a second I thought I saw something redeemable beneath those red eyes and the cape and the face made pale by white powder. Are you the boy who reads Romeo and Juliet every day at lunch? I asked suddenly. No, Belle. Jeez Louise. I sit at the table behind you and your friends with all my brothers and sisters. I thought back to the tables at the cafeteria. Edward's table, Jock's, Popular's, my table. Girl, no. You're still deluded. Arty kids, vampires. You must have sat at the last one. Seeing me sit down and open a yearbook to finally sort this out, Josh continued. Remember that first day in the cafeteria when we both reached for the cottage cheese at the same time? And then we both tried to pass it off like we were actually reaching for the fries? But really we were just waiting for the other person to leave so we could get the cottage cheese? Or the second day when I saved you from getting hit by a car in the school parking lot? He spoke like someone from a far, far away time, like middle school. It was so charming. His sentences were so long. Wow. His sentences were so long I realized I could easily run away. I could actually have run away at any point, but something kept me there, even when Josh turned away to yell into the darkness. "Vicky," he called, "how's the video going?" "Got it all on tape," a small female vampire said, running out from behind a tombstone. She was holding a camcorder. I could tell she was evil because she had wavy red hair, a weird smile, and she was wearing a shaggy fur poncho thing. I'm guessing it's a reference to Twilight. I Victoria? I think that's a reference to Victoria, like one of the bad people in the Twilight novel. It's kind of funny. I think I finally figured that out. I wondered where that came from because it makes too much sense. I've it's been a really long time since I've actually seen the movies, so ah, cool. Blah blah blah. Evil fur poncho thing. I thought this would make a dramatic place for our home movie. Josh gestured to the graveyard. How would you like to be a movie star? He asked me menacingly. Before I could answer, Vicky rushed over to fix my hair and apply glue and fangs in my mouth. What movie? I asked incredulously. I hadn't signed any release. My fight moves were copyrighted. It's called A Day in the Life of Josh and Vicky, Vicky said. We started filming the morning when we woke up and continued throughout the day. It's been really fun, especially when I filmed Josh doing his homework. I made a home movie once, right before I left Phoenix, forever. I dressed up and danced in the ballet outfit I used to wear when I was a toddler. My mom loved it. I have an idea, Vicky continued. Belle, why don't you say something on tape? How about, great to meet you, Josh and Vicky. Thanks for not eating me. Vicky held up the camera. I looked from vampire to vampire. I gulped, swallowing a bug. Felt like my knees were my knees were missing. Memories are so important, don't you think? Vicky said. I said my line quickly to cover up my mispronunciation of the difficult foreign word two. I know it's either pronounced like two or two, but I always forget which one. Homonym joke. Two or two. Oh, they forgot how to say it. We said the exact same. Pretty much. This is fun. Junk. Here we go. Now kiss. Vicky whispered. The camera was still rolling. Josh closed his eyes and puckered his lips. He leaned forwards. Only a few minutes ago he wanted to kill me, which I guess was fair because I wanted to gouge him in the armpit. Still, some of his sharp teeth were popping out of his puckered lips, and I was wary. What if my acting was bad? Then remember that I am a great actress. I closed my eyes and leaned in. We kissed. I didn't feel anything, though, because it was all part of a day's work by that point. It occurred to me that kissing was the least productive part of human courtship and not very sanitary either. That's how desensitized acting had made me. Oh, probably a Kristen Stewart joke. Okay. Okay, great, Vicky said, shutting off the camera. I'll see you tomorrow morning for the next day in the life of Josh and Vicky. She shouted, disappearing in a nearby grave. Yes, I decided. She's evil. My lips were bleeding a little, so I hastily wiped them off. What would I tell my dad? I decided I would tell him I picked at them to make them red, just like I used to before I was old enough to wear lipstick. Ew. Josh was looking at me with hungry eyes. Man, it rains a lot here, I said to fill the silence. Like so much so, should we keep fighting or what? Josh leans forward and flushed his lips to mine again. I resisted a little bit at first to make it seem like I was that kind of girl. The kind of girl who doesn't like vampires. But then he French kissed me. So weird. I had heard about this before, but nothing could ever prepare me for such a strange feeling. Even after he removed his nose from my armpit? What? I still felt a slight tingling sensation. What? So is it awkward if I ask what her status is? I asked quickly. Not that I cared either way, I just wanted to know, you know? Not at all. We're a couple now. I wondered how I'd express that on Facebook. I'd have to change it from what it was before. It's complicated with the vampire. But then I realized that it works pretty well with the new scenario. Want to come up to the vampire prom with me tonight? Josh asked. I remember my last prom. The stupid pre-prom photos, the ugly pink dresses, the tacky disco ball, the gunshots. Okay. The 911 calls, the national media coverage, and the lame cover band. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds more like the plot of Carrie. But sure, that sounds really lame. Sounds actually more interesting than this. Of course, I said. Great, because I already got you a ticket. Oh, wait, I said, suddenly remembering the boy who had flailed away just minutes ago. I think I might already be going with someone. Another vampire? No, I thought so, but no. Remembering Edward, I felt angry and a little silly. I should have known he wasn't a vampire. He failed to meet the three telltale criteria for vampirism. Vampirism, speaking in an old-timey way, being pompous and having sparkly skin. Okay, but before this point, you were completely fine with calling Edward a vampire. So I guess your idea of him was wrong. So good job, Nightlight. You broke your own rules of how okay, you probably don't have any rules, but at least Twilight was trying to stay consistent. Like, okay, it was terrible consistency, but trying to stay consistent is better than nothing. Trying to stay calm, but almost done with this chapter because it's really short. Blah blah blah. Oh, here we go. Well, it doesn't really matter, Josh said. We vampires have a separate school prom in winter instead of spring. Coincidentally, at a time most inconvenient for outdoor photos. He sneered. Separate but equal my ass. Show my head in sympathy. I never realized that being a vampire made you different, but not in a nice Dr. Seuss kind of way, in which you have a star on your belly. What? What? We sat down to snuggle in front of a tomb. Josh, I asked, how did you become a vampire? I fought Dracula. I nearly killed him too. Only I felt bad when he told me that I was his only friend, and that was the reason he kept me in his dungeon for 5 years. He bit me right when I turned to go back to my dungeon. What a trickster. Okay. Very loyal once you know him for a few centuries, though. You know Dracula, I yelled. That's so cool. I imagine what I'd do if I ever met Dracula. I'd probably say, I'm Belle Goose, girl of the vampires, and he would bow down and nip my feet. Oh, okay. Well, Belle, Josh said, I'm a pretty cool guy. What was Dracula like? Fanged? Bat-like? Wow. Dating Josh would lead me all sorts of opportunities. Maybe he knew the swamp thing, too. Take you to your house before we go to the prom, Josh said, standing up and brushing off his cape. You'll probably want to put some makeup on or something. Wash your face a few times. I blushed. I hadn't realized my tempting blood smell was coming from my nose pores. What? What? Okay. We held hands as we walked towards the exit. Josh's hand was cold, but not in the clammy, sweaty way I was used to. Edward, I thought with a sigh. Edward. Where did I know that name from? Yeah, now she's dumb. Now she forgot the entire reason why she spent 100 pages, like, even doing this. Okay. Wait here, beautiful, Josh said once we exited the cemetery gate. I'm going to bring the car around. A few minutes later, he came to a rolling stop by the curb. Get in, he said ferociously. Okay, I thought. That was a little rude, but I didn't say anything, not then, and not even when he hopped out, blindfolded me, and tied my arms together. It's for your own good, clumsy. It's hard for me to argue with that, especially as I was falling into the car. Okay. He buckled my seatbelt. A few minutes later, I was surprised to feel the car move so slowly and responsibly under Josh's control. But then again, he had been driving since the invention of cars. We stopped. Here's the plan. You're going to go upstairs and clean yourself up and get rid of the human smell, Josh said. I was still blindfolded, but I assumed we were at my house or some other place that had an upstairs. I'm going to smooth talk your dad. He took off my blindfold. I stumbled toward my door, but he stopped me mid-step and put down his cape for me to walk on so my shoes wouldn't get dirty from the pavement. I thanked him, gingerly sipping on the red satin lining. Quickly lifted up the corners, bagging me and carrying me to the door. What would you do without me? Billy asked, inserting a tracking device in my ear. Wow, he's pretty much like Edward in this like entire series, it seems. I think the human Edward is a like smart part. Then Josh is just the annoying part that everybody hates. Good job. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. But this is pretty good so far. I mean, it's still boring because the dialogue is like maybe 5 words long in the longest sentences. But at least it's more exciting than shopping. That chapter was bad. Tracking device in my ear, blah blah blah. His behavior was unusual, but I never dated a vampire before. Besides, who could blame Josh for being possessive? I was special. A girl who would one day be on a talk show saying, Yes, Diane, my childhood was difficult. Shrugging, I reached into my purse for my key, which turned out not to be necessary. Josh melted a hole in the door and tossed me through it. Move, 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 he yelled. We've got a vampire prom to get to. No, that's nice. 40 minutes in. Okay, this is a long chapter. Well, not really long, but it's like most of the rest of this. Okay, chapter 10, Vampire Prom. What? The actual chapter that it's been totally made up since like chapter 3? That's gonna be super important? I wonder how super important it's gonna be. It's probably gonna be super important. Like, the super most importantest of importance. Uh, Probably not. Probably not. Okay, Vampire Prom. I ran upstairs as quickly as possible, then tore off my shirt and threw it on the floor. Might I suggest you wear something simple? A voice directed without any hint of suggestion. Turned to the window and gasped. Josh! Quickly I covered up my bra-patterned undershirt. It was too late, though. Josh had seen them, so now I knew I was aware of lady garments. Okay, that was weird. I don't mean to control every facet of life, he continued, taking my hand and closing the window with it, but I believe it would be unwise for you to wear something eye-grabbing to the prom. The famous fancy Venetian masquerade. Ha! Italian vampires. Nice little joke. And you're going to be in a full room full of vampires. Any fabric you own that camouflages with walls or dance floors might be best. How did you get in here? Through the window. Duh, I'm a vampire. Still, my window is barely 2 feet tall. Duh, I did the vampire trick where you shrink yourself down with a vampire ray and then vampire pump yourself back up to a normal size. Started to ask more questions, but we were interrupted by a violent bang on the door. Where is he? Called Jim. Is that vampire in there? Josh lunged toward me and put his hand over my mouth. No, he said in a low, masculine voice. Just your female human daughter, all alone. I pushed his hand away. No, Dad, I said. I don't see a vampire in here. We'll keep looking low. I'll keep looking low. After a long pause, we heard him stomp back down the stairs. I turned to Josh. I can't believe you told him you were a vampire. Jim hates vampires. Are you embarrassed by me? He asked teasingly. He grabbed my waist and pulled me close. What about now? He said, doing a humiliating penguin dance. No, I'm not embarrassed by you. We just have to keep your vampirism a secret from my friends and family forever and ever, okay? Stop dancing. Whoa there, forever and ever. I sighed exasperatedly. Edward might have been clueless, but you didn't ask half as many questions. Yes, forever and ever, once you've bitten me and made your vampire mate. I slowly backed away. Wait right here, Belle, he said, opening the window behind his back. There's something I gotta do at this other place. I think he's realized that she's insane. As I heard his car roar life and then screech away, I turned like a pinch into a closet. What could I possibly wear to a masquerade? I threw everything I owned out of my bed. Leg cast, left leg cast, neck cast, various finger casts. And I decided to go with my full body cast. What? A car screeched to the hall outside our house. Heard voices floating up from the living room. Josh had returned. Crept to the doorway, listening for sounds of Jim's breaking his rifle out of its mounted glass case. I must have convinced Jim that he wasn't a vampire, though, because all I heard was the low hum of their conversation. Are you sure? I'm a very old-fashioned guy, Mr. Goose. I promise to do everything by the book. Josh was saying. Here's the agreement that the learned man in the next town over drew up for me. It says in exchange for one date with your daughter, I will provide you with 4 lame geese, a bundle of barrel staves, and the use of my largest scythe in 3 weeks' time. This pleases me, said Jim. I am an extremely permissive father who would never dream of requesting such an arrangement, but am professedly a sucker for barrel staves. Share a celebratory pint with me? Lel. I heard the glug-glug sounds of gin being poured into pint glasses. Only 2 for me, Mr. Goose, said Josh. I'm driving. What was it you said you were again, Josh, my boy? I inhaled shortly, shut my eyes tight. Don't say vampire. A graffiti artist, sir. A window graffiti artist. I see. Because he's a window cleaner. This is gonna be bad. This is actually kind of funny. Only took like eight chapters to actually get to the funny bits. Yay! I see. Suddenly the sound of glass shattering rang throughout the house. Josh ran up the stairs of my room, slamming the door shut behind him. Jim barreled up the stairs after him, getting more and more aggravated the more he shot his rifle, sinking the priceless antique bullets into our 17th century Frisian wainscoting? Wait, 17th century? Frisian wainscoting? On a... Be logical. Don't have your characters be in a house that is in the Pacific Northwest that somehow has wainscoting that is from the like 1600s on a salary that does not allow that. Probably a joke from probably a joke from how she describes stuff in Twilight. Yeah, gonna be painful. What did I say? Josh gasped, moving my dresser in front of the door. Jim's a window wiper. Josh, and according to a T-shirt he has, he's also a female body inspector. I think that's some kind of gynecologist, but I've always been too grossed out to ask. In any case, I explained, he hates window graffiti artists. Really, the only people he doesn't hate are descendants of werewolves. Try that next time. Only people he doesn't hate are descendants of werewolves. It's actually kind of funny because his best friend in Twilight is a werewolf. I think, because they're the same family of Jacob, so I'm guessing werewolf. Haven't actually seen that movie in a while, so, What are you wearing? Asked Josh, admiring my costume. You like it, it's a full body cast. What are you supposed to be, some kind of creepy mummy? Yes, I said uncomfortably. I was a little hurt that he couldn't tell I was a beautiful cocoon. Maybe we weren't meant to raise three dachshunds together after all. Where are you supposed to be? I asked. Josh was wearing a formal black tuxedo with a smoky gray vest. I'm a human guy, he said with a grin, flashing his false human teeth. I shuddered. Why do all boys insist on wearing the most unattractive outfits they can find at costume parties? I wanted just a shim shot. You're wearing a full body cast? I think attractiveness does not actually count. You, he said, pointing his rifle at Josh. He fired. Bang. Josh zoomed left, supernaturally avoiding the bullet. Bang. Josh leaped right, humanly avoiding the bullet. My dad reloaded. First he poured in the gunpowder, then he pushed it down with a long brush-like thing and added the musket ball. Read that about Jim. Really regretted buying that Revolutionary War rifle. Revolutionary War rifle. Okay, that's super expensive. Even though I got it for an incredible price. Took about 90 seconds to reload. Doesn't sound that long, but try waiting in silence for even 5 seconds. Feels very long. Oh, what is this? There is an entire blank space. You know what that means, guys? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Whole lot of blank. Okay. Doesn't feel very long. Try waiting for 5 seconds, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 full pages of blank, pretty much. Oh, that's so nice. Now I only have 11 pages until the next chapter. Yep. See what I'm talking about? Relax, Dad, I said, before this ridiculous waste of paper could go any further. He's a werewolf. Jim loaded his rifle. Oh, sorry about that, he mumbled. Looked at my costume. Wow, Belle, you look like a real mature lady. I had to admit, I did look stunning for a caterpillar's pupil casing. Oh god, it's gonna be so painful to read. Oh god, bad spelling. Lucy and Laura would say I looked more hot, misspelled entirely, and Juke, winky smiley face. It's I don't know. It's H big A W W T J U. It's just spelled bad. I think that's the joke. I hate when stuff gets misspelled like this. I get what they're trying to go for. It's just no, not at all. But I think that stunning was a much better word. I had recently come into possession of a thesaurus. You would not believe how many words there are. When I opened that book, I was like, whoa, word party. After we had picked the bullets out of the wall, we went downstairs to perform the traditional father meets date ritual. So, Josh, how's school? Inquired Jim. Good. Are you into sports at all? No. Do you mind if I take my false teeth out? It's hard to speak with the men. He popped them out and bared his sharp pointing fangs. I could see Jim's blood rushing in terror to Jim's right leg. The farthest place from Josh's teeth we could go. Have you seen any movies lately? Why would you ask that? Josh said calmly, wrapping a tourniquet around Jim's leg. What? Wrapping a tourniquet around Jim's leg. It was now bulging with blood. Delicious, nutritious blood. I don't get this. Well, it's just one of those questions you ask werewolves. Every werewolf likes movies, right? My dad chuckled knowingly. That's a pretty bold generalization to make, Mr. G. Can you hold still for a second? Josh pulled a syringe from his pocket and began to extract blood from Jim's leg. Wait, what? This is so nonsensical. I'm not being prejudiced. Believe me, some of my best friends are werewolves. Well, frankly, I'm more of a television guy. Have you ever seen True Blood? It's about vampires. It's entertaining, but not very realistic. I mean, the synthetic blood that satisfies vampires? Come on, you need the real thing, preferably from a teenage girl. All right, Belle, you ready? Yep, I stood up, showing off the smooth pleats in my cast. I began to spin around gracefully, but once I started, it was hard to stop. I felt like a figure skater, both in my grace and my desire to throw up. Josh finally grabbed my shoulders to stop me. Stop, Belle. That will do. He smiled back at him and looked deep into his giant, soulless vampire pupils. He glanced coldly into mine. Now I know why they call you Belle, he said softly. Did you mean, no, Belle means beautiful in Spanish? 'Cause, no. Bella is, it's close. I'm pretty sure you're thinking of Shh. Let Josh do the talking from now on. He was so charming. But yeah, I think he was meaning French. Belle does not mean beautiful in Spanish. It's close, but no. Oh, wow, okay. I'll have your stupid daughter back by midnight, Mr. G said. You can have this back. You threw the syringe of blood back at him. I think I'm all set. You want to come over for the Seahawks game on Sunday? Jim asked. Oh, the Seahawks. That's nice. I like the Seahawks. You really don't have a lot of friends besides that wheelchair guy. The wheelchair guy, who actually is a decently sized importance in the Twilight novels, because he's related to Jacob. This is so fun. I'm all set, Mr. G. Football games are usually during the day, and you know, he said, sheepishly gesturing towards his skin and making sparkle motions with his hands. I don't understand. My other werewolf friend watches football all the time. Okay, bye, Dad, I called. Josh steered me out of the door towards the black limousine. Before he shoved me, he looked me up and down. Hey, Bill, do you know what your volume is? What, I replied, trying to think if a spear or cylinder was a better representation of my body type. Think how much blood you have in your body. I don't know. First I have to figure out what my radius is, Josh. I had decided the cylinder worked best because of the flat surface of my skull. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is stupid. Everything she says is dumb. Like, I can't get past that. On our way to the prom, Josh insisted on giving me a driving lesson. He propped his feet up on the dashboard and shouted gas or brake at me as I manned the pedals below the driver's seat. He was such a controlling driver. Not once did he let me improvise. I couldn't even control the radio from where I sat cramped on the ground. Josh blared his techno vampire songs. None of them were Schubert. Since the thing was a fancy Venetian masquerade, you would think the prom would be better decorated. There were a couple of black streamers and one overly inflated black balloon, but I told myself to be more open-minded. Most craft and party stores closed before sundown. If a vampire went in daylight, he would look like he was stealing a lot of glitter by rubbing it all over his body. What a mess that would be legally. That's true. Hope you don't find the costumes boring, Josh said, apologetically, as we walked through the gymnasium to get to the photographer. The prom committee picked a pretty unimaginative theme in terms of costumes this year. Looks like everyone decided to be human. There's a huge human romance novel phenomenon going in the vampire world right now. Human romance, but kind of funny, because, human romance. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god, this is painful. This is painful to read. You should have seen the costumes for the last few prom themes. Pimps in their street hose. CEOs in their office hose. G.I. Joes in their combat hose. Gardeners in their garden hose. Firemen in their fire hose. I don't like, it's just, if you ask me, a masquerade theme wasn't flattering for anyone's features, nor does it define the appropriate gender roles very clearly. Oh, God. It's brilliant, I said, but a little part of me wished I had Edward by my side instead of this brave, takingly beautiful vampire. Someone would always be there to look more awkward than me. Josh and I paused to take a prom photo. It came out beautifully, even though it looked like my date was just a bunch of clothes hanging in the air. Still, the light caught the silky fibers of it suspended tie magnificently. As they walked towards the punch bowl, I couldn't help but think that Josh was the same to have me as his date. Maybe it's the way he kept mouthing, "She's not with me," at passerby. I don't know, I have trouble understanding boys' signals sometimes. As the saying goes, boys are from Mars and girls are from a completely normal planet. When all the vampires broke into choreographed dance, it sank deeper into a feeling of alienation. Really all find time to practice together. The zombie style dance was actually pretty good, but I think many of the moves were heavily influenced by a certain video by a certain immortalized king of pop. Black or white. At least they didn't say thriller. Okay. I stood by the punch table as the vampires danced for the last verse. There were 4 bowls labeled AB positive, O negative, AB negative, and grab bag. I have an AB positive, I told Josh when he returned from the dance floor. What's it made of? Apples and bananas? It's made of blood, Bill. You know this is blood, right? Oh, of course, I was just joking, I replied, sipping from my cup in horror. I was really going to have to commit to this. As I nursed my blood cup, Josh introduced me to his friends, Levi and Zeke. They gawked at my costume. What are you staring at? I asked defensively. At least I have a costume. Whoa, said Levi. At least I have a costume. God. Whoa, said Levi. Say that again. Say what again? How did you God, Zeke? She sounds so human. Hello, said Zeke in a deep, even voice. My name is Human Guy. Group of vampires gathered around is laughing. Oh, let me try again. He said one. Hello, my name is Human Guy. They all laughed again. Hello, said Levi. I am a human person. Why do humans say it like that? Human said, humans always say it like that. Nobody says that, I told them, but it only made them laugh harder. Hello, said Josh. My name is Mr. Human Guy. They were weeping with laughter. Josh, I whispered ferociously, are you going to defend me? Come on, Billy. You know how you sound. It's not your fault. He added quickly. Inherent flaw within your species. I know you can't help it, and will never be able to correct it. He held my cast-covered chin in his hand and petted my cast-covered hair. Be proud of who you are, Belle. Don't apologize for your differences, your quirky, defective differences. Just then, someone tapped me on the shoulder. Belle, cried a familiar voice. I spun around to see none other than Lucy. Oh, the only other human that has actually been talked about at no cost. Lucy, what are you doing here? She laughed maniacally. Belle, I bought over a dozen prom dresses because you couldn't tell me which one was best. I mean, these dresses aren't just going to wear themselves. This is my 5th prom this week. But you don't even like vampires. I like vampires. This is my thing. Who even invited you? Levi invited me. She lowered her voice and spoke directly in my ear. Belle Goose, if you ruin my chance of being prom queen tonight, I will make sure that you live long enough to witness the passing of your loved ones. She smiled and trotted away to join Levi on the dance floor. I like her, because Belle is terrible. Come on, Belle, said Josh. This is my favorite song. Let's dance. I really don't want to dance. Dance with me, Belle, he growled. Seriously, Josh, to Green Day, they've been around forever. Wrong, he barked. They've only been around for the last 20 proms. What, 20 proms? Yeah, this is my 86th prom. I'm immortal, remember? Yeah, I know that. I guess I just never really fought this out. Again, I pined for Edward, who would never let it slip that he'd been to 86 proms because he had no idea who Green Day was. Dance, Josh commanded. You don't know what you're asking for, I warned. Just once, he ordered. Seriously, Josh, I never danced without unwittingly causing a political uprising. One dance, he decreed, pulling me out of the dance floor and manipulating me like a puppet using pulleys that were still attached to my full body cast. Okay. Okay, I'll do one dance. I did my ironic tap dance. It's a complicated routine, but all learners will mistake your clumsiness for irony if you raise your eyebrows enough. As predicted, when I finished, there was a revolution. A mob of outraged vampires swarmed the dance floor, frantically trying to stop the tame dancing that had now gotten out of control. 100 tap-dancing vampires were shoving and kicking each other in attempts to complete the routine. I slipped away to the wall unharmed as a couple of tap dancers, aggravated by the oppressive handling of the mob, finally overhauled the speakers, cutting the music. The gym filled with the din of the crowd's antics. One vampire dove onto the punch table like it was a slip and slide, while his friends poured the contents of the bowls onto themselves and splashed around. Another vampire, offended by the splashing, tossed his blood punch into the splasher's eyes and threw a superfluous punch. This polarized the vampires into 2 teams, pro-splashers and anti-splashers. Okay, this is getting more exciting, but it's so dumb. It's exciting and dumb. It's enjoyable. It's just finally funny. I waited patiently for the ride to subside, sipping my blood punch in a folding chair behind the corner, too bored to even say I told you so, but not too bored to broadcast it over the PA system. I saw Lucy being pummeled as she tried to escape the surging masses. Watch out, I shouted, but it was too late. Someone had grabbed her by the dress, loosening a carefully fixed safety pin on her sleeve. Ouch, she said, examining the prick on her arm. A drop of blood oozed out. Oh, the drop of blood thing. The vampires stopped writing. They all got really quiet and started to lip their lips, closing in on Lucy. I started to lick my lips too, because one of the subconscious contagious things like sneezing. But then I stopped because it just isn't worth it. You forgot to bring chapstick. The drop trickled down her arm and onto the floor. 3 vampires lunged into her at once. Another drop trickled down. 3 more vampires dove to the floor. That's when her hemophilia kicked in. She has hemophilia? Oh god, no. The blood started spurting from her arm like water from a fire hydrant. Vampires held their faces up and opened their mouths to catch the blood. Some twirling around, playing in the crimson torrents like kids on a hot summer day. Prick her, Lucy cried, pointing at me. She's human too. Prick her. The vampires glanced my way, smiled and waved them generously. I was their ill deuce, the face of the revolution. Ill, ill douche. Ill douche, yeah, um, not expecting that, cool. Get her, the vampires cried. Suddenly I was the most popular girl at the prom. The crowd mobilized over to my chair and hoisted me up on their shoulders. Started chanting enthusiastically saying, "Go humans, more human blood, bring her to the stage, more human blood, prick her arm, more human blood." Despite my newfound popularity, I was still quite surprised when they announced over the loudspeaker, "Tonight's prom king and queen are Joshua Vampire," with a Y, "and Belle Goose." 4 vampires set me down on the stage next to Joshua, were settling back in the audience with a crazed, hungry glint in their eyes. "Can't believe I'm prom queen," I whispered excitedly to Josh. "I know," he said, wrapping his arms around me. "I can't believe you're prom queen either. To me, you'll always be my prom minion." I frowned. Suddenly, nothing seemed right. Lucy trying to escape from a dozen hungry vampires. Josh's domineering yet somehow not romantic attitude towards me. Our being crowned prom king and queen, which is obviously should have been given to a different couple. One that had shown more courage. The gay vampire dancing with his boyfriend in the corner. That's nice. Despite the disapproving glances, they were going to let anyone else define their love. The entire gymnasium was cheering us on. Lucy was pointing an air above my head, screaming something. I looked up where she was pointing and gazed at my tiara. I gasped. Angelica's ominous epileptic message reminded me in my brain. I see a room in chapter 10, a room full of vampires. In the corner of the room is a metal folding chair. Beware of the crown. Wow. Okay. I ducked in time to narrowly miss the falling 50-pound dumbbell with a spiky tiara attached. Jumped off the stage. "Caesar," Josh cried oppressively. Turned to face him. "I've had enough of your authoritative commands, Joshua. I'm tired of vampires." Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm just tired of vampires. Everybody calm down. This is actually a good point. Um, I ran out of the gymnasium in the clear, cool night air, feeling lost and friendless because, let's face it, talking to Jim is like talking to a wall. I had no one to turn to, neither vampire nor human. God, I need a werewolf friend, I thought as I walked towards the parking lot. And something funny happened. My vision tunneled, and all I could see was a white pasty light glowing in the horizon. I stopped at the top of the stairs leading to the parking lot and steadied myself at the railing. The light continued to glow as pale as ever, but now 2 green lights were added towards the top and a gooey metal gridded smile. Edward, I was seeing Edward. All my anxiety and confusion washed away as I realized what I had to do. First, though, I would need to get down those stairs without hurting myself. With Edward shining like a beacon in my mind, I gazed coolly at the fatal obstacle course lying before me on the steps. I had never felt calmer in my life. I hopped from one foot and another down the stairs, rolling when necessary, as the axis descended from seemingly out of nowhere, dropped all around. She's in a full body cast, and she's somehow going downstairs. I don't, I don't think that actually works. So I'm just gonna roll with it because there's literally like 10 pages left of the entire book. So I'm just gonna roll with it. Blah blah blah. Hopping down the book. I was doing it. I was really doing it. I swerved around a spike that shot up from the ground and narrowly missed me, poking a hole in my costume instead. Oh god. Clock struck midnight. I could feel my casket beginning to unravel. Soon I will turn into a pumpkin. Or was the helpless maid? Butterfly? In any case, some objective correlative was changing in a way that implied my character had developed, more pertinently, in the ability to balance. That implied my character had developed. Oh my god. Okay, pretty face, I said to myself, getting encouragement from my self-established nickname. Self-established nickname. Yes. There's one more thing you need to fix before this night is through. Oh my god. There is, like, no pages left. This is good. 11. Rightful place. All of 10 pages. And that one thing was adjusting the alarm system in our house. What? Really? That doesn't... Now that a vampire breaking into my house and hovering over my bed at night was no longer a deluded fantasy of mine, but a frighteningly real possibility, I needed to disable the ring for criminals, but ignore any vampire setting. I ran back to my house and retrieved the vampire-proof locks from our bottom kitchen drawer. Jim had been on my case about putting those on, but between the vampire fighting and my Elizabeth Bennet-esque romantic realizations, I just hadn't found the time. Remembering that he had warned me I would be sleeping on the streets tonight if he came home and our house still wasn't vampire-proof, I went through all the rooms applying the safety locks that only human hands can open. This is because human hands can squeeze and pull simultaneously, while vampires and children can only do one or the other at any given time. Okay. I wanted to forget all about prom, so I took off my ragged cast and changed into a slim satin evening gown. I looked into the mirror, resolved. I looked at a self-portrait I had drawn, resolved. I looked into the dirty water in the kitchen sink, which had a faint reflection, resolved. It was time to go to Edward. But really? I don't get that kind of idea. The sentence structure in that whole entire paragraph was weird. Okay. Arrived over the upper side of the fence surrounding his gated neighborhood, panting, realizing I could have walked in the open entrance instead. I decided to take off my heels. They were fine to walk in, but I wanted Edward to think that I had a hard time getting to him. I also, oops, accidentally ripped my dress climbing over a gate, and oops, accidentally messed up my hair with my hand. I ran across the streets of Edward's subdivision in the dark, imagining I was a woman who balances clay pots on her head, running to the watering hole. What? Well, I was a gifted teenage girl running away from a group of vampires celebrating the grades night of high school. A lot had happened to me in the past few days. I dated a real boy who was a fake vampire. I dated a real vampire who was with a fake accent. I had faked my death to see if I would have a big funeral, but I didn't have any funeral at all because my eye kind of twitched. I was lying there and it ruined everything. I'd finally gotten through the many book series about the girl prankster, Nancy Drew. Although there was something about werewolves, but I left that part out. Okay, so that's pretty much saying there was stuff with with werewolves. But you left that part out entirely. Entirely. Okay. Okay. As I ran all these events, ran from my brain a kind of photo video montage with cool exhilarating rock music playing in the background. I had an image of me winning some sort of award because I had a feeling this will happen soon. I turned down Edward Street, deciding to walk the rest of the way because I didn't want to be out of breath when I arrived. I wondered what I would say to explain the sweat stains on my dress. Would he believe me if I told him that I had peed? My pee had a funny way of winding up by my armpits. I don't... What? Huh? Oh, okay. Oh. I was right in front of Edward's house when suddenly I heard Decode by Paramore, my ringtone. Quickly opened my cell phone. What up, blood? I said. Answering this way was a habit I developed when I thought my boyfriend was a vampire. Be careful how to speak until I tell you to. I froze. It was Josh. Dropped the phone. Picked it up and then dropped it again. Put the phone in my ear just in time to hear him say, Good, now say Switchblade or press the one that has your current location. Switchblade, I whispered, looking up at Edward's glass house in fear. There could only be one reason behind this call. Kidnapping. Would I ever hear Edward's sweet triangle melody again? This is your final warning, Josh continued. Stop it, I yelled. I'm not afraid of you. Your vehicle is not insured, he said. Where's Edward? Do not hurt him. Sipping a little, I began to run up the glass walk. To insure your car, please press 1 or say insure after the tone, Josh's voice said. Stop running, suddenly relaxed. It was recording, so that's how vampires make a living, using their commanding voices for pre-recorded phone calls. At Edward's door, my index finger was too shaky to ring his doorbell. Yes, an ever-insecure reservation about our love for one another was preventing me from doing the inevitable. What if his life was better without me? What if he found someone within the last 4 hours? What? This has all happened in 4 hours. That's nice. Who had read more Jane Austen novels than me? What if he found someone who suffered from fewer delusions? Oh, okay. I leaned my head against the wall in self-defeat, accidentally ringing the doorbell. Edward opened the bell. Edward opened the door. Bell, he cried. Edward, I cried. Bell. Edward. Bell. Edward. I noticed there was garlic above the door frame. Edward held a steak in one hand and a Team Jacob shirt in the other. Finally, we finally get Team Jacob. Team Jacob shirt. Because, oh, did you get Betty's ass nervously? No, I said, coming towards him. Oh, wait, what? Towards with 2 S's. TOWARDSS. I think they're putting it in, like, mistakes like this for humor? I did not notice that before. I'm fine. Phoebe said he put down the shirt and steak because that would be a twist. Oh, that she actually got bit. Okay. Don't worry, if Josh ever tries that, I will bite him first and turn him into a girl. What? We were silent a few moments. In the first moment, I noted with relief how looking at him still made my heart beat faster. In the second moment, I anxiously wondered if the beating would ever slow down, or was I going into cardiac arrest after all that running? In the third moment, I took his skinny beanpole frame and beaming, freckled face. I couldn't help but beam back. As long as I was with Edward, I would never lose and never fumble again. So what's up, he said. I gave the usual answer. Not much. Just left the vampire prom to come see you. Belle, I'm really sorry I left you in the cemetery. I was going to take some karate lessons and then come back for you, but after the lesson on ethics, I realized that karate begins and ends with courtesy. It is a discipline that should only be used for self-defense, and even that is the last resort. So I hiked up Dead Man's Mountain and got the android, the one that falls and gets up again. Yeah, that one. Grinned at me wonderingly. You remembered. Oh, that's good, because that's like the only time that it actually was being okay. Of course, Edward. That was the day I realized that I could love you even if you devoted all your time to creating a useless, unmarketable android. Not exactly useless anymore, he stopped aside, revealing the android behind him. It looked like the same, an anatomically correct human body imitation as before, but something was off. Watch this, Edward turned it on. Its eyes glowed red. Vampire, 7 miles away. It said in the voice of Jeff Goldblum. He was the first robot to ever win an Academy Award, explained Edward with admiration. I think my voice is Jeff Goldblum, so I think because I am Jeff Goldblum that is a correct statement. That's a kind of funny idea. It raised its robotic arm. Attached to it was a huge harpoon-looking weapon. Wait, what? It's a cold-seeking missile, said Edward, smiling mischievously. I call it a vampire shish kebab. Awesome, I murmured. Why didn't you use it? He looked at his feet. I heard you were with Josh, and I didn't want to hurt him if... Why? Why wouldn't you want to protect me from the awful vampire? He looked at me with a sad smile and bright, weary eyes. Would you have liked it if I blew up all the vampires while you were still dating one? Wouldn't you have rather I waited patiently for you to return, no matter how long it took, so we could blow them up together? I paused, unsure where this was going. So I waited for you, he continued. I waited to see if you would come back, even though you would rather date a vampire than me. Well, I started to say, but then I decided that statement was too complicated to correct. So I said, I'm sorry too, Edward. He placed his hand on the android's launch button. Shall we? He said, playfully holding out his other hand for mine. Edward, what? I crossed my arms in disapproval. Oh, you thought I was really going to. You thought I would kill vampires? He laughed uneasily. I had to admit, it would make a pretty good prank someday. Edward turned away from me a little, but moved his eyes to look at me peripherally. Can I show you a video game I made? He asked quietly. Yeah, sure, that's so cool that you make video games. It's about me. Wait, what? So cool you make video games is about me. Lisa had turned on his lead. I realized that my clever deduction was very clever indeed. Of course it was about me. Okay, so this is you, he said, pointing at an unflatteringly computer animated girl. But she has brown hair, I said. You have brown hair, don't you? Brown with red highlights, I corrected. Jeez. He pointed to a muscular warrior character. This is obviously me. And this is Josh. He pointed to a mushroom near the bottom of the screen. Let's fight him, Belle. He's getting a little impatient. Were we going to have to wait 4 books and thousands of pages for anything to happen? So what do you want to do now, I asked. Play video games. How long do you want to play video games for? A really long time. I want to play every video game with you. And then after that, well, there's time. We should really work on a club website, but I understand if you get tired after all these video games. I have 2 closets full. I lay back on the couch exhausted. The problem with smart boys is they never initiate. Then quick as a flash it happened. When Squeaky scooted across the plastic couch, Edward was by my side. He swiftly wrapped his arm around me, pulling me towards his bony chest. His hands grabbed in my hands like they were video game controllers. He pushed down my left index finger. I low kicked. He pushed down my left pinky. I jumped. He pushed down my right thumb. I paused in midair. He kind of rotated my wrist while pushing down on my right middle finger. Crouched down and shot a fireball from my hands. This was getting fun. Suddenly I blurted out, I love you more than everything in the entire galaxy combined into one potent, delicious piece of gum. That definitely seems like enough, Edward said. He isn't me a science at the moment. The game shows how I feel. He looks at the bell and Edward figures on the TV screen. They were next to each other and bobbing up and down lightly, ever so often saying, "Hee-yah," just like us, I thought. Slowly, Edward began to trace my spine with his fingers, drawing invisible shapes on my back. I turned towards him and traced my hand with my fingers, invisible turkey. After a few moments, Edward asked, "What am I drawing?" "A computer." Sam gently pressed his lips to my hair. "You know me too well," he murmured. Imagine what the kids in my old school in Phoenix would think if they saw me now. They'd probably think, "Belle left Phoenix? I thought there was someone missing from my history project group." We began a butterfly kiss, which is when you touch your eyelashes to the other person's skin. I was going to respect Edward's desire to wait, and he was going to respect my desire for winged creatures. "Ah, leg cramp, Edward suddenly shouted. "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Did I do something?" I asked, worried that I was getting too intense for him. "No, I just need to stretch it." "Okay, that's better." I lifted up my face towards Edward's to butterfly kiss him again. He bowed his face towards mine, fluttering his eyelashes softly against my eyelashes and then against my cheek and lips. Edward had terrible eyelash-eye coordination, so I held very still to help him out. He firmly kept my face in his hands for better aim. Then very slowly he tilted my face to his. Stopped fluttering my eyelashes. We stared at each other for a very long time. My eyes started getting a little cross-eyed, and I saw 3 noses at once. He slipped away the hair that stuck to my chapstick, weaving his fingers deep in my brownish-red tresses like a finger headband. Tenderly drew my lips towards his, and I could feel his breath tickling the tiny hair follicles that every normal woman has above her mouth. Okay. "Ah, foot cramp, he yelled. "How's this happening?" It's fine now. We looked at each other and laughed a little, because hey, relationships take work and communication. And with that, Edward put his cold lips to my neck for the first time. Oh, it's done. This book is done. It is completely done. It is the doneness of the dones. Okay, this took like 3 hours to read. I read slower when reading out loud, so I kind of guessed it would be a little longer. Overall, at least this section, was at least funnier, better paced, and let's check how 5 seconds is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That took 5 pages, so that made it a lot easier to read. It was shorter. Overall, it was good. It was much better than the middle section, which was really boring. The first section, which chapter 1 was okay. I liked that one. 2 through 4 had its moments. 5, 6, and 7 had very few moments that were good. Overall, it was okay. I'm gonna probably make a shorter video about how I actually think about the entire book as a whole. So, just gonna say, beginning, middle, end. Best part, end, because it ended mostly. Worst part, probably the middle. Beginning point, looking back, pretty middle of the road. Had its good moments, had its bad moments. Well, okay, probably going to make the video now, so bye guys. Hope this was actually sort of fun. This was kind of enjoyable. It was like a 4-hour block of me talking, mostly. Or actually, me reading literally a 150-page book, which I did not expect. This book, if you get it for like really cheap, read it. If you get it for its normal price, don't. Overall, it's a parody. If you like parodies, get it. If you don't get it. Just common sense, guys. I like parodies. I thought it was gonna be good. No. Well, bye. Gonna have my other video up soon because it's gonna be a shorter video, so it doesn't take that long to actually upload. So this one might take a bit because this is a good hour 19. Yeah. So take about 10 to 15 minutes to upload. Thankfully on my internet. So bye.